Okay, I'm trying something new. I got my pressure cooker out. I'm going to try browning slash sautéing some chicken in here, and then I'm gonna cook some noodles. Um, Pressure cookers are nice because you don't have to have all sorts of equipment. You just gotta have the pressure cooker. This one isn't even an Instapot. It's a Cuisinart electric pressure cooker, so it doesn't have to be the fanciest thing in the world. A lot of the stuff I have isn't the fanciest thing in the world. I mean, this is from the dollar store, so this is a pretty straightforward recipe. This is leftover chicken I made from the last time I made something, so I still have this chicken. It's only about a week old, and since it's been in the fridge, it's not gonna, it's not gonna go bad. And it hasn't been sitting there for months. Once it starts getting fuzzy stuff and smells weird, then you should be concerned. But this, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and turn this over to sautéing. And man, I had to look this up online because I've never actually done this before. But what it said was to turn it over to sautéing. And what I went ahead and did, and I'll show you this here, is I have some coconut oil in there. And so what I said to do is let it kind of melt a little bit, which is, coconut oil doesn't take a lot to melt. As you can kind of see, it's starting to do it a little bit right in here. Not a lot, but just enough. Trying out this new tripod here. I think the only issue I'm having is the angles of things, because just because I'm looking at the camera doesn't mean it can see me. Oh yeah, so that's nice. It's actually melting fairly quickly. Because you want to make sure that you have, this is still wet from when I washed it. You want to make sure that it doesn't stick to the bottom of it. And what this is going to do is it's actually going to help it to saute. So I'm going to go ahead and take the raw chicken. And what I did was I cut it up in little pieces, kind of little cubes. And this isn't a lot. This is probably only like 2 thighs. But for one person, for one bag of spaghetti. And yes, I'm one of those people. I have Alfredo sauce and I'm using spaghetti. I don't really care. For me, sauce is sauce, pasta is pasta. The only thing I wouldn't recommend is some of those like garden pastas because they taste a little weird. Sometimes wheat pastas. That might be better off if you're trying to match something. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the chicken in since it's coming along. The coconut oil. I like using coconut oil. I don't know why. I guess I've heard it's healthier for you, but at the end of the day, I think oils are just oils in general. But because of my family's history of health, we have found studies where they say that coconut oil, because of the fatty nature of it, is supposed to help parts of the brain associated with Alzheimer's and dementia. So my hope is that I don't catch that because I'm using coconut oil. So I'm going to show you what's going on here. Again, I'm still learning this tripod thing. It's a little finicky, but I think it's actually coming along pretty nicely. But that was very, very quickly. I've only had this on for maybe 2 minutes max. And that oil is already bubbling. It's already doing its thing. And what I was reading on the internet from people who have done this, they said to leave the lid off when you're sauteing. Because the pressure cooker, it's even with the lid off, it's going to cook pretty quickly. When I was mixing around the chicken, there was a glob of coconut oil that was on top and it didn't melt right. Dang, this is coming along pretty quickly. So I'm going to stop here so I can finagle this and see what I can do from there. But as you can see, it's coming along very nicely, very quickly. and we'll go from there. Alright, so what I went ahead and did was I set a timer for about 10 minutes and I just walked away completely. This is coming along real nicely. I would say it's 90% of the way cooked. The fun part about it is we're still got to cook the noodles. So if it's not cooked all the way completely now, the pressure from the noodles and the cooking of that will cook it all the way through, and that'll be fine. So I went ahead and just turned it off of the saute and everything. So we're gonna go ahead and start over. It's gonna be great. Yo, that's hot. Why did I do that? I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and take this whole thing, and really what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make an Italian cry, because I'm gonna have to crack these in half. So, if you know any Italians, don't rat on me. Snitches get stitches. Not even worse, I'm gonna have to break it in half and then crack it twice. Because there's literally no way this is gonna work. Oh, honey. Beautiful. Oh, honey. Oh, yeah. Alright. What we're also gonna do, and I've never tried this before, but I was told that you put in the sauce and water, because when using a pressure cooker, unless you're sauteing as long as you have like some sort of like base layer, like really thin, you don't gotta completely cover it. That's why I use the coconut oil. But with this, ooh, nice and creamy and delicious. So I'm gonna pour that right over the top. So with the chicken on the bottom, then the pasta, and then the sauce, this is what we're kind of going with right now. You can probably hear it bubbling just a little bit still. That's just because the chicken is still in the oil, still doing its thing. Thankfully, though, there's not a lot of oil because I will be adding some water to it. So it's not going to cause like an explosion or something stupid. Fingers crossed. What I'm going to do, because I don't want to waste the sauces in here, I'm actually going to fill this and shake it around a little bit and use this jar to fill it up with water. Every time I use a pressure cooker, I just cover it in enough water that it covers the entire item. So if it's just pasta, you cover the whole pasta. If it's just chicken, but since I got a lot, like right now it's sitting pretty at right about 7 to 8 cups. So, I mean, and you saw the picture. It's kind of contorted and everything, so it's probably not going to need that much. But I'm going to put in just enough water so that it covers the whole thing. The water's already in there, and I sealed the top, and I went ahead and put the top little part to pressure. It's a little messy, as you can tell. I do use this quite a bit, because sometimes I'm feeling lazy, and that's okay. So what they say online for cooking pasta and everything in there is you should look at how long they recommend for cooking time. They said take the smallest even number and subtract it by 1 or 2. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to 8 minutes at high pressure. Alright, so it's got like less than a minute left. Unfortunately, mine doesn't have like a second timer, but that's okay. Because once I hit the 1 minute, I was able to know, hey, we're almost there. So what it's supposed to do, and I never know. This thing is old. Oh, there we go. Timer goes off. And you're supposed to do a natural release, which is what it's doing right now. It's kind of naturally releasing. If you need to, you can always do the quick release, which is that. I don't recommend that because it's messy. But you can. It's there for a reason. This usually only takes like 5 to 10 minutes, and I think that gives it enough time to just kind of chill in there. Any extra water that may or may not be in there will evaporate. It's not going to take too long at all. All right. After it depressurized, this is what we're looking at. Chicken looks pretty good. The noodles are coming out pretty nicely. I tasted a little bit of the noodles. The noodles are actually a little stiff. But you know, they're still edible. What I might do is let this simmer for like another 5 minutes or so. But it's not too bad. I'm very pleased with the chicken. The chicken came out looking pretty nice. This time I didn't really do any seasoning on the chicken. Just because I was feeling lazy, I guess. It's been a rough day, so I didn't do a lot of prep time. It took a lot of motivation just to cook anything at all. That's why I really enjoy making simple meals, because I think I'm not the only one who just has those days. And so it's nice just to be able to eat and not have to invest too much time and effort in it, and be able to eat something that's actually pretty good. And this is just 3 ingredients. That's pasta, sauce, and chicken. The most expensive part of this was the chicken. When you really add it all up, it was $1 for the noodles, $1 for the sauce, and the chicken at most, but the pieces I used, that would add up to maybe $3, $4 max. So this is a $6 meal, and this will probably last me for the next 2-3 days, and that's not bad at all. When you split it up, that's almost $2 a meal. And considering the size of this pot, this is not bad at all. And I just got my cute little bowl. I'm very pleased with this. And with the seasonings and everything, what I always like to do anyway is just kind of throw it in right at the end. And I have a bunch of seasonings, so we'll just kind of experiment. And I hope this is pretty straightforward. I hope maybe you learned something. I myself, I'm constantly looking at recipes because I'm very forgetful. Even things that are so simple. Pressure cookers are difficult. It's not always this fun, joy kind of thing. There are definitely going to be times where you're gonna have to research something. Like me, I was doing that constantly, and most of it was the pressure cooker itself. Because I don't want to steer you wrong. I know what I would do, and I know what I'm comfortable with, but I want to make sure, like, especially cooking with raw chicken, I want to make sure you don't get murderized. So like I did in the first parts, we sauteed the chicken all the way through. There were only a small little parts that I would have maybe sauteed a little bit more, but I was confident that sitting in this pot for that 8 minutes at high pressure, that was going to cook it completely. And I guess like that bite I just had was actually pretty soft other than the noodles. And none of the chicken is looking raw whatsoever, and I'm very pleased with that. So I'm guessing maybe just a couple of parts of these are stiff in terms of the pasta. So this is a pretty simple recipe. I'm gonna try in the future. I'm gonna look around, see what else I can do on a pressure cooker. Just see what kind of fun we can have. Even on those days when you're just feeling tired, lazy, anxious, depressed, whatever it is. Sometimes for me it's the winter just getting me down. But worst comes to worst, it is a Monday, so I'll use that as my excuse, a little case of the Mondays. But I hope that you have a good week, and I hope that you find something good to do for your neighbor. Okay, bye.